practice day to everybody. Kind of finalized our game plan for Colorado. Looking forward to getting on the plane tomorrow and going to Denver. We'll still spend the night in Denver and then drive over to Boulder the next day. And looking forward for another Pac-12 contest. The kids have had a great week of prep, and we look forward to competing for our first road win. It'll be a heck of a challenge there in Boulder. They always bring a great crowd, and I know Coach Mel Tucker will have them fired up and ready. So with that, I'll take any questions you have.
If any of the injured guys made any progress towards returning on Friday?
Yeah, I think OG's in a great spot. He's practiced all week and really looks good. ITS still looks great. Greg looks really good. I would think those guys are going. Chris Steele tweaked a little bit of a knee yesterday in practice, and we'll see how that goes. We'll make a determination. Nothing huge, but just tweaked it. So we'll see where that's at. Anybody else?
Christian Rector?
Christian's probably 50-50 at best. He is going to travel, but he's probably looking more towards next week than this week. He's really progressing, but it'll be game time and 50-50 at best.
How much was Chris Steele able to do today after tweaking his knee?
He didn't practice today. He tweaked it in a one-on-one competition drill yesterday, and just a little bit of a sprain. Was uncomfortable with it today. We'll see how it is tomorrow and then make a determination.
What has kept you from being able to win on the road, do you think? And what has to happen?
Yeah, I really think, and we've been on the road 3 times, and to me, as I said, in the first 2 losses, I thought it was the turnovers. Anytime you have 6 interceptions in 2 road games, you're not going to win those games. You're fortunate enough just to get one of them to overtime. And then, there's a 2-score difference at Washington with it. We come back and we make huge strides, I thought, at Notre Dame. Protecting the ball, playing clean football, 2 penalties, 0 picks, and now all of a sudden you're in a 30-27 game with one of the top 10 teams in the country, and 1 score away from pulling out a huge victory. So I thought we made strides in the last game. We need to play. Anytime you go on the road, it's about playing clean. The conditions are hard enough. Getting comfortable in an uncomfortable situation, you don't want to have any self-inflicted wounds. I thought we made a step ahead last game. We need to do the same this game.
The looks that Michael Pittman's got the past 3 or so games could be frustrating for any receiver, being doubled so much. From your vantage point, how has he handled that?
I think he's handled it great. He's still, when you look at that game, you still see the huge explosive play that he made for us that sets up a touchdown, and then he scores a touchdown in last game. So, we've always said make the most of each opportunity. I mean, look at the 3 wideouts right now. Add up those number of catches right now. You got two in the mid-40s and 1 in the high 30s, and that's as good as anybody, not only in our league but in the country. And those type of numbers for 3 receivers. So it's. I've always thought that you're going to be able to maybe double one, but the other ones are going to go off, and that's what's happened. Everybody's kind of had their day through the season. All of a sudden you want to double Pitt. Amon-Ra's going to wear you out for over 100 yards, and then it'll be Tyler's turn, then it's Pitt's turn. So, and we'll do a good job of moving guys around and try to get them hidden a little bit, but it's something that I think that those guys have played tremendously unselfish, and they've made the most of their opportunity. If you get 4 opportunities, make it 4 for 4. If you get 12 opportunities, make it 12 for 12.
Do you see Ray Johnson playing a full allotment, or does he share time there with Max?
Just depends on how his shoulder's feeling. I think Greg is confident in it. He needed that week to get confidence. He's had a great week of practice. Max is ready to go in. I can see Max getting some reps in this game. But Greg has had a lot of confidence and had a good week of work. So he'll start, and I expect big things from him.
Through all the injuries, you've had to work people at positions they didn't start out the year at, like Chase Williams and Hunter Eccles. How have you guys been able to identify who might fit in these new positions?
Well, it's one of the things that when we plan for worst case scenarios, you hope for the best, but you plan for the worst. And in Chase's case, we practiced him both at nickel and safety, if you remember. We try to train everybody for certain situations. We've trained Kanai at both outside linebacker and inside linebacker, and you never know when you're going to get in that situation where you've got to have a good player move it to another position. Jalen McKenzie is a guy that can play guard or tackle. You may end up with your fourth-string running back, in there. You better train everybody. You better train everybody. So it's been one of those years where I'm very thankful for our coaches. I think they've done a great job of, we talked about in training camp, growing this team from the ground up and making sure that our strength was our depth and make sure we train everybody. Just don't focus on the starters. Focus on first team, second team, third team, fourth team, and it's going to help us make a championship run. And here we are, with some injuries and some guys are still producing. That went from a limited role to a pretty big role now.
You guys were in the track stadium there at the end. Was there anything special going on?
Yeah, they were just conditioning our field, turf field. That field turf, sometimes pellets get moved around in certain ways, and so today they were conditioning it so we can be ready for the rest of the season. So we moved the defense over.
You mentioned some of the improvement from road game to road game. Where do you think Keaton Slovis has done the best in terms of from that first road start to Notre Dame?
Yeah, just what I said before. His first road start was 3 picks. His last two starts here, he's had no picks. And that's the biggest thing. And even last, I thought he played a really mature game. By our standards and his standards, he's always going to want to play better. But you go and all of a sudden, go 21 of 30 for 250 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 0 picks. And it was one of those days where, gosh, I missed this throw. Some things didn't open up the way I wanted to. I took 2 sacks. At the end of the day, he found a way to win. Put 41 points on the board and not make the critical error. And that's back-to-back games. And so now we've got to take that on the road. And he did it at Notre Dame. I expect him to do it again this week.
For a young quarterback, how important is that road environment just to kind of toughen him up and kind of give him an opportunity to show his mettle?
Yeah, what I really loved about I've always believed you could tell what a quarterback when you look at his eyes. And when I watched him in South Bend, Indiana, it's your first time to walk into that environment, and he's leading us up and down the field in the second half just like it's nothing. I was like, whoa, this is what you want to see from your quarterback. There was no fear, no hesitation. He was making decisive decisions, correct decisions, and that's what you want to see.
How different is it getting a game plan ready on offense with your 4th and 5th running backs, and you don't have maybe the size and the experience? How different is it to put that together?
Yeah, not to give away game plan, but I'm really interested. I really like the game plan that Graham's put together. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I think the kids have gotten into it also. We've got some wrinkles that we'll see how it goes, but we're also very trusting in what we saw from Keenan getting out there. We put him out there in a critical situation last week, and he goes out and scores 2 touchdowns. To have Double D back in the fold where he's played that position, it's not like it's somebody that hasn't played that. He played in high school. He played here for 2 years, and it has looked good all week at it. It's fired us up as an offensive staff. And Quincy's kind of that old soul that'll go in there and is great in pass protection, great out of the backfield, and be a great in between the tackles runner. So we've got a complement of backs. Each one's got their own strength and will be in kind of for certain situations. But I like where we're at right now. It's going to be fun to watch on Saturday.
You had the major emphasis on penalties in the offseason and preseason. Why do you feel maybe it's not sustained through the season?
I think sometimes you look up and you have 2 penalties at Notre Dame, and then I think we've had a 3-penalty game, a 5-penalty game, a 2-penalty game, and then all of a sudden you get a crew that wants to throw 12 out there. Now last week there were some decision-making penalties that really frustrated me, and so I told the guys, I said, and it was by young people getting their first opportunity. It's Keenan all of a sudden scored a touchdown and run into the back of the end zone. There's somebody doing this, and he's a respectful kid, and he slaps hands, and it's 15 yards. That's an education that he's got to learn. And Kanai, he makes a big play and gets over emotional. And when emotion goes up, intelligence goes down. It's not deliberate, but I helped him this week. I said, if we make one of those decision penalties that costs our football team, you'll come stand beside me for a series, and I bet you won't do it again. And so we'll help some young people remember the importance of controlling your emotions in celebration.